Today we're going to talk about NFTs and protecting the ocean, which sounds like a really weird thing to do. They didn't give me a clicker. Is there a clicker up here, guys? Is there? Right here. All right, cool. I'm guessing I just press play. Show me. All right. Okay, cool. So this project started for me when I was at COP21. For those of you who don't know, that's the Conference of Parties. It's actually happening right now in Glasgow, Scotland. It's the climate change conference. Most of you probably refer to this as the Paris Agreement. What I found out, though, is that as I was talking to a lot of these folks, they kept saying the same thing year after year after year, and I just kind of got tired of that. And I thought, well, why are we talking about this stuff and actually not doing something about it? When we talk about protecting the ocean, it's really hard to really protect the ocean because it's so massive, and you get so many different responses from people when we talk about, like, what can we do? So there's a couple of problems that exist as the reason why we created it. The company is called the Ocean Currency Network because our greatest currency is a healthy ecosystem. Number one, it's hard to define a healthy ocean. How do you do that? Here's a homework assignment. Go talk to your favorite marine scientists. They're going to give you different responses every single time. Too much time is spent talking and not doing, and it's near impossible to incentivize these groups that are actually collecting data, right? So if you spend $400 million on collecting data from the ocean, you're not really motivated to give it to me for free. We want to build a whole NFT ecosystem that allows you to have attribution and collection of your data, much like you would have, let's say, for instance, with stock photography. If it sells at Getty Images, you're going to get a piece of it. Getty's going to get a piece. It's like Oprah. Everybody gets a piece. All right. So one of the goals was to protect 30% of the ocean by 2030, right? That's the magic number where we think that the ocean can start to regenerate if we hit 30%. This was a goal that's underneath SDG 14. I'm going to throw a lot of acronyms at you that are completely non-NFT related, but this gives you an idea. Like, this is what our target is, but how are we doing? Well, at present, we've got 2.7% that's protected, and I would actually challenge anyone to say, all these blue spots, which of these are actually enforced? Almost zero. So is that 2.7 number actually accurate? So what's our strategy? What are we going to do? Well, first thing we want to do is we want to identify the inventory in a protected area. If we can look at the biodiversity and know if it increases or decreases, we know if that MPA is doing its job. We also want to determine a financial variable for detected natural capital assets. What I mean by that is, like, if I detect fish that we would sell on the open market, what are those fish worth? Could we actually challenge nation states to keep them in the ocean, prove that they're worth more alive than they are dead? That's one of our goals. And then we also want to store all of this oceanic data on-chain. If we can store it on-chain with attribution, now we can give people incentive to go collect data because their collective pool of data will be worth a lot because we're just not measuring things. There's a quote that's one of my favorites. Lord Kelvin, he says, if you want to improve something, you gotta measure it first. We're not measuring it. And so that's what the whole point of this is. And so right when we created this back in 2017, there was a lot of climate data that was being deleted because we all remember what happened in 2016 and 2017. I don't need it to trigger you all. But the important part is that why did that even happen? Why did we ever have centralized climate data to begin with? That needed to change. And so this became a real amazing tool for that. So how do we actually count fish? So I'm going to show you one of our drones here in just a minute, but this is what you're looking at here is one of our underwater computer vision systems. It not only will recognize the type of fish that's there, but it'll actually measure the size. And based on that information, we know what the value is if we were to sell it on the open market, but we're going to cross-collateralize those value as assets instead. So why is this cool? I think it's cool. I'm biased. But at the end of the day, we all know what software as a service is. This is measurement as a service. And I already mentioned the measurements part, but if I took a marine protected area and I said, right now, in this marine protected area, we've got $50 million worth of assets. But if we didn't touch it, in 15 years, we might have $1 billion, $2 billion, who knows? And there's a lot of reasons for this. And if you guys, I'll give you my email address. I can go on a deep dive on the reason why that is. But ultimately, what we really need to do, if we're going to improve the health of the ocean, we need to define the true value of the marine protected areas. This is one of our drones. This is what we call the Mako. It's both a scientific aggregator, but it's also an anti-poaching device. So while we're actually grabbing all of this data, mind you, at 1/3 of the expense of traditional expeditions. If I catch this guy right here, you're going fishing in our spot when I told you don't take anything, I'm going to show up and I'm going to let you know you need to get out of there. If you're caught fishing, we'll arrest you. And the way that we arrest you is we say, hey, stay put. If you try to run from us, we have an anti-fouling system that will completely destroy your propulsion systems. This completely changes the table here. Completely changes it, because what we end up doing in this situation is we tell everybody, look, we're done. We're not going to put up with this. Because remember that 2.7 figure? We're not enforcing. This allows us to autonomously enforce without putting humans in the way. All the while, we're storing data, we're putting it on chain, we're giving everybody a capability to actually have ownership in this data. So we're going to do a trial. Like, I can stand on a stage and talk to you about this stuff all day long, but like, so what? Talk's cheap. We already covered that, right? The British Virgin Islands is going to be our first pilot program. We're ready to get in there in the water right now. But it's 81,000 square kilometers. That's a number that doesn't mean anything. 9 Puerto Ricos or 1 country of Austria. So we have to figure out the best way to do this. So, I'm from Texas. There's a saying, don't frown. I'm a good guy, come on. There we go. There's some Texas people in the house. But, we have a saying in Texas, man plans, God laughs. Everything that touches the water, especially technical things, they break on a magnitude of 50%. So what we're trying to do is put these things in the water as quickly as possible, try to solve a lot of those problems, and scale up as quickly. So if we can do it in a small country like this, we can get past all of the major problems, we know that when we hit the United States, the UK, other places, we'll have accomplished a lot of those hurdles off the bat. So where are we going? So what we will get with this is an enhanced understanding of the ocean, which we don't have now. We'll have a definition of a new financial asset class, which does not exist today, which I'm really excited about. And then we're going to use NFTs to actually to share royalty information on the data that's actually collected inside these areas, which is super cool. So, key takeaways. Why am I up here talking? What do I want you to think about? Well, I want you to remember that measuring data in the ocean is the key to a new regenerative blue economy. You'll hear people talk about at the UN a blue economy. Right now, the blue economy is defined by the exploitation of the ocean and not the exploration. And we need to change that, and this is the technology. And what's so great about this is, yeah, I'm talking to you about my company, but if you guys are interested in this, you guys can all be part of the pool collecting data where you live. And this is the biggest problem that we have right now is looking at silos. This gives us an opportunity to look at the planet exactly as it is. One planet, one spaceship Earth, and all of us can be together. I talked about assigning the financial figure. If we can do all this stuff at 1/3 of the expense, a lot of these expeditions that are currently happening, we can get 3 times the data. So I'm really excited about that. But anyway, the whole point of this is that we can get this real-time data. And today, we're talking about this idea, even though I've been in research and development for 3 years. But maybe by the next time that I see you guys at this event, we'll actually have some data that we can actually show you that happened in the British Virgin Islands. I'm so excited about that. So if you guys want to keep in touch with me, here's the website. It's ocn.ai. Oh, and by the way, I am an artist, and a lot of this data that I've already collected, I've turned it into art as well. The musician BT and I did a piece in April. It was crazy awesome, but if you guys are doing similar stuff, I'm happy to share some of this data so that you guys can build artwork off of oceanic data as well. But anyway, I'm Jeremy Mckane. I'm out of time, but I'm so stoked that I was able to talk in front of you guys. Thank you.